After traveling to the Daluo continent, I have only one goal, to defeat Tang Sen, that cheater. For that, I begged the heavens for a system. But to my surprise, the heavens watered down the system. Sure, the system gave me countless jars that can contain items from all worlds, but I can't use them directly myself. I have to sell one jar at the price of 100,000 gold soul coins before I can get a jar with 10 times the drop rate. Helplessly, I could only come to Spirit City where the richest people gather. I opened a small shop near the Spirit Hall. Selling a broken jar at a sky-high price naturally aroused resentment among the locals. The news instantly spread throughout Spirit City. Soon, Ziyu and Yen came to patrol. Ziyu strode into the shop and immediately questioned me. Why is such a tiny broken jar being sold for 100,000 gold soul coins? I smiled mysteriously. The jars here are not that simple. They can produce all kinds of rare and strange things. If you're lucky, you might even get a spirit bone, or even something more valuable than a spirit bone. The moment I said this, the crowd around me started breathing heavier. Spirit bones are the treasures every soul master dreams of. You can only stumble upon them, not seek them out. Would anyone really put a spirit bone in a jar? They didn't believe me. But then again, if you could actually get a spirit bone, even selling the jar for 1,000,000 gold soul coins wouldn't be too much. It's a scam. This is definitely using spirit bone as bait for a scam, and claiming there's something rarer than a spirit bone. That's just nonsense. Someone shouted, "This is the Soul Master world. We have to trust what we've learned." To Soul Masters, the most important things are spirit bones and spirit rings. There's no third option. After processing this, everyone shook their heads. But Ziyu, maybe he actually believed me. Or maybe he just wanted to expose me as a fraud himself. Decided to buy one to test. Boss, skip the jar that's 3 across and 4 down, Ziyu said firmly. As he spoke, he took out a box full of gold soul coins from his spatial soul tool. He handed it to me. After confirming it was 100,000, I casually put the coins in the system's storage. Then I handed him the jar he picked. Someone's opening one. Someone's really opening one. Let's see. A broken jar bought for 100,000 gold soul coins. Just thinking about it is exciting. I'm really curious what'll come out. I want to see who ends up being the sucker. Can't wait to see his face after getting ripped off. The others in the shop crowded around when they heard this. They all looked at Ziyu, who's already by the counter, like he's an idiot. Yan was speechless too. He muttered under his breath. I have to tell Nana. Before you get scammed, I did try to stop you. Ziyu ignored him, turned to me, and asked, Boss, please tell me what to do. I took out a small red and gold hammer from beneath the counter and set it on the table. This is called the Lucky Magic Hammer. Just use it to smash the jar. Good luck. My heart pounding, my hands trembling. Ziyu wasn't hesitant at all.
He grabbed the Lucky Magic Hammer,
raised his hand and smashed down. With a snap, a burst of purple light exploded forth. My eyes lit up. I thought to myself, not bad luck. It's actually a purple grade item. Ziyu shouldn't have lost on this one. As the light faded, a surge of powerful soul energy burst out. Everyone stared at the item in Ziyu's hand, their eyes almost popping out. What is that? It actually gives off soul power. Oh my god, it's really a spirit bone. It must be over 3,000 or 5,000 years old at least. No way, is this shop crazy? Did they actually put a spirit bone in a jar? That guy totally struck it rich. Soul masters are everywhere in Spirit City. If you're not a soul master, you'd be embarrassed to walk outside. So there are plenty of people here who know what's what. But the more the experts looked, the more shocked they were. After all, what came from this jar was the treasure soul masters spend their lives chasing. Everyone's eyes suddenly became burning hot. Even their breathing quickened. Boss, this time, you really made a killing. That's a spirit bone, Yan said excitedly. Even though people call them the golden generation of Spirit Hall in private, not one of them had a spirit bone before. 100,000 gold soul coins for a spirit bone. It's a steal no matter how you look at it. My eyes lit up. As the system displayed matching information, I couldn't help but sweat a bit. Venomous demon cat king's right arm bone. Rare grade. dropped by the venomous demon cat king in the venomous thunder ruins. Soul skill, Savage Claw. Delivers a rapid claw attack forward, with poison attribute effect added.
Damn.
They actually turned dungeon monsters into spirit bones. Even though I was roasting them in my mind, I was still smiling on the outside. Congratulations, ZU. You got a spirit bone. As the one involved, ZU still couldn't quite believe it. Boss, is this real? Yan reminded him from the side. It took ZU a while to calm down. He carefully put the spirit bone away, then turned to Yan and said, "Go ask Nana for money. All my money's with her." Yan's heart skipped a beat. Boss, didn't you say you'd open just one? That was a minute ago. Didn't you see I've already gotten a spirit bone? Just selling this spirit bone out there would fetch at least 1,000,000 or 2 gold soul coins. Even if I open 10 more jars, no matter what comes out, I'll make a profit. ZU explained patiently to Yan. I nodded approvingly when I saw this. Good. Very good. I totally get that mindset. Never expected it. But ZU got hooked after just one jar. Hearing ZU speak, Yan already knew what kind of mindset he was in. But somehow, he himself started to feel tempted too. Maybe I should try one too. I figured it was time to fan the flames a little more. So I spoke up. By the way, I should remind you guys, after opening 9 lucky magic jars, the 10th jar gives double rewards.
That means...
If in the 10th jar, you get a soul bone, then you get another identical soul bone as a bonus. I'm not making this up. That's how the system rules work. You really can get double rewards. ZU's eyes changed. After tasting success, he was really hooked. Yan, go tell Nana right now. Besides my own savings, I need to borrow a bit more from her. Let's get together 900,000 gold soul coins and do a 10 in a row draw. Boss, Yan started to speak. Don't hesitate, go now. I have a feeling the next jar will have something even better. All right, Yan said, then turned and left. After returning to the spirit hall, he rushed straight to Hulina's dormitory. Nana, something's wrong. ZU is in trouble. The shop door was pushed open. A nearly perfect young woman walked out. At first glance, this girl didn't seem particularly beautiful. But upon closer look, you could sense a strange kind of charm from her. She was exactly the most outstanding genius of the golden generation in Spirit Hall. Hulina, what happened to my brother? Hulina asked with a frown. Then Yan told Hulina everything. About what just happened. Did you say soul bone? Hulina repeated. She thought she must have misheard. Yan nodded seriously. Absolutely true. A jar that could have a soul bone inside it was only being sold for 100,000 gold soul coins. Is the shopkeeper out of his mind? Once Hulina was sure that Yan wasn't lying, her look gradually turned to shock. You can actually get a soul bone from one of those jars? That's just unbelievable. You have to understand, for spirit masters, both spirit rings and spirit bones are absolutely essential. They are priceless treasures you can only dream of. Which spirit master doesn't keep them safe and secure? Even if it sells for over 1,000,000 gold soul coins, selling one at auction for over 1,000,000 wouldn't be a problem at all. But now, ZU got one from a jar for only 100,000 gold soul coins. Is this some sort of charity business? After a moment, Hulina took a deep breath, ran into her room, and quickly came out again. She looked at Yan and said seriously, "Take me to that jar shop right now. A jar that could actually have a soul bone inside. This is way too important. If word about this spreads in Spirit City, it will definitely cause a huge reaction. It might even cause chaos. As the Pope's disciple in Spirit Hall, and the future Sanxes, she has the duty to keep Spirit Hall stable. She needs to see for herself. If there's really only one soul bone jar, or if it's just a marketing gimmick. Of course, maybe open a couple jars to check at the same time." Meanwhile, a crowd had already gathered in front of my little shop. Everyone was full of excitement and curiosity. I just heard. It sounds like someone in the shop actually opened a soul bone. Holy crap, a soul bone. For real? How could it be real? Any spirit master knows how valuable soul bones are. Who would put something that precious in a jar and let people try their luck opening it? Isn't that just dumb? If he wanted money, selling the soul bone directly would be way more profitable. You don't believe it, huh? I saw it with my own eyes. That soul power fluctuation can't be faked. Damn, that's amazing. I wonder who's behind this shop. They're being so generous. Enough talking, I just want to know right now. When are the people inside coming out? So I can go in and open one myself. I want to open too. Behind the crowd, Hulina and Yan had already arrived. From a distance, Hulina spotted two signs hanging by the door. Create the future with your own hands. Create happiness with your money. I want to see for myself. If these jars are really as magical as they say, Hulina whispered. At this moment, inside the shop, I said to Ziyu, why not take a break over there first? Let me see if anyone else wants to open a jar. Ziyu's face changed, and he pleaded a bit. Boss, please wait a bit longer. I sent Yan to get more money. She'll be back soon. I have a feeling the next jar will definitely have something even better. The treasure is calling out to me. I don't want to just watch it get opened by someone else. Faced with this opportunity, Ziyu chose to throw away his pride. Pride isn't worth much anyways. Alright then, I nodded. I didn't refuse. I understand what Ziyu is thinking. It's like strengthening gear in a game. Once you've succeeded, you want to keep going. And you always think your chances are better with 10 summons at once. Honestly, that's pretty naive. Maybe you don't know. The dungeon world I'm connected to is the MiHoYo server, isn't it? With MiHoYo's odds trying superstitious luck. It's just a joke. In my heart, I silently mourned for Ziyu for 3 seconds. But Ziyu had no idea what I was thinking, and instead looked truly grateful. Boss, you're such a good person. He was genuinely moved when his eyes swept to the shelves behind me. Those lucky magic jars. His gaze was full of longing, and he'd already made up his mind. Once Yan was back, he wouldn't hesitate about going double. If soul bones are this easy to get, he'd just go for a full set and call it good. The boss is such a nice guy. Don't make him lose too much money. He was even thoughtful enough to consider my losses. Good thing I didn't know what Ziyu was thinking. Otherwise, I would have burst out laughing. This just shows he's never been burned by society before. Thinking this way is really naive. Luckily, they didn't have to wait long. That's when Yan and Hulina came in. Nana, you're finally here. The moment Ziyu saw Hulina, he acted like a starving Wolf. Ziyu, can you be normal for a second? Hulina shivered at the sight. Then she stopped looking at Ziyu, turned to me instead, and showed a smile that could outshine any flower. Hello, boss. My name is Hulina. Nice to meet you. Her voice wasn't that pleasant, maybe even a bit husky, but in people's ears, it felt like an invisible little hand, gently scratching at your heart. No wonder she's a fox spirit, so seductive in every way. I made a mental note. Then with a smile replied, nice to meet you. Welcome to the store. At this moment, Hulina's gaze was already drawn to the shelves behind me. Boss, those jars behind you. Are these lucky magic jars? Can you really get a soul bone from them? Nana, I got one myself. How could that be fake? Boss Lin is honestly such a good person. Ziyu got upset off to the side. He was worried Hulina's doubts would make me unhappy, and then we'd get kicked out. And how would he collect all 6 soul bones? It's fine, I waved my hand. Really, it's all up to luck what you get. If your luck's not great, maybe you get nothing at all. So that's the marketing technique. Putting a soul bone in just to attract customers? Hulina's eyes lit up. She thought she'd figured out the real truth. She already thought something was off about this. Logically speaking, who would be dumb enough to put something worth 1,000,000 gold soul coins in a jar and just sell chances to open it for only 100,000? Is this charity work? Even a philanthropist would go broke like this. Now my words, to him, are basically admitting that the soul bone is just a gimmick to attract people. And Ziyu was just lucky enough to be chosen as a shill. After listening to Hulina's analysis, I laughed. But honestly, a single soul bone doesn't impress me. There are things in the jars even more valuable than soul bones. As for whether you can get one, that all depends on your luck. Either way, it doesn't matter if you open the jar or not.
He's right here.
Hulina was stunned after hearing this. Boss, what do you mean by that? Nothing much. If there's nothing else, you two can leave. Don't hold up my business. I'm sure plenty of people will be interested in my jars. I waved my hand as I spoke, signaling that they could leave. As for people questioning me, I've already expected that. But there's nothing I can do. I have no control over what comes out of the jar. It really is all up to luck. Speaking of luck, I have to say, Ziyu really got lucky. Getting a soul bone on the first try helped me make a name for myself. Before, the jars in my shop intimidated people. Now, for sure, some people are probably feeling envious and excited. There's that saying, take a gamble. A bicycle could turn into a motorcycle. My indifferent attitude left Hulina dumbfounded. In her mind, I should be trying to persuade her and enthusiastically promote the jars. But instead, I'm just leaving him hanging. Is there something more going on? Could she really have misjudged me? He started to doubt himself. At that moment, impatient voices sounded from outside the shop. Are the people inside opening a jar or not? It's been so long, and they're still not done. Hurry up, my gold soul coins can't wait any longer. Not 9,800,000. Not even 9,900,000. Only 100,000. 100,000 refined soul coins. Take home a soul bone. Please, just save 2 jars for us. Just as I expected, the crowd outside was hyped up. In other words, Ziyu's soul bone really got everyone excited. Nana, are you going for it? Ziyu's eyes were red with anxiety. Unfortunately, the money was with Hulina. It's not like I said I wouldn't. A look of determination shone in Hulina's beautiful eyes. He made up his mind. Look, I brought all the money.
He said this as he took out the prepared gold soul coins.
A total of 5 small chests. Each chest holds 100,000 gold soul coins. That's 500,000 gold soul coins. You could say it's all the savings Hulina and Ziyu have. Boss, give my brother one more jar. Sure, I nodded. With a flick of my hand, I put away a chest filled with 100,000 gold soul coins. Then asked Ziyu, have you chosen which one? This time, Ziyu was no longer casual like before. He looked completely serious. I've decided. 6th row, 6th jar. I turned around and took down that jar, placing it on the counter. Ziyu had been waiting for this moment a long time.
He expertly picked up the lucky hammer from the table,
Aimed it at the lucky jar, and brought the hammer down. Crack, the jar shattered. Unfortunately, this time there was no dazzling light. Ziyu froze. He had that sinking feeling of gold soul coins going to waste. Could this really have been a trap? Yan was also shocked and deeply distressed. Hulina frowned even more. I actually guessed right. This really is a trap. I knew it. Who would put such a valuable soul bone in a jar and let someone take it for just 100,000 gold soul coins? Ziyu must have just gotten lucky before. He was basically playing the shill. Wait, it's not like there's nothing. There's something else under the shards. Suddenly, Ziyu noticed a faint white glow among the fragments. He reached in to search, and soon pulled out a tiny item, about 3 centimeters long, and placed it in front of everyone. What is this? All 3 were puzzled, but there was a strange look on my face. Isn't this the experience capsule from the game? After using it, it increases your current level's experience percentage. As the thought flashed through my mind, the item's information appeared before my eyes. Experience capsule, normal grade, not tradable. Experience increase is converted to soul power increase. After use, your current soul power cap increases by 10%. After reading the info, I couldn't help but be amazed. Even the experience capsule has undergone changes. What originally boosted character experience in the game now boosts soul power instead. That actually fits the world of Daluo continent perfectly. Looking at Ziyu and the confused faces of Hulina and Yan, I explained to Ziyu. The item you're holding is called an experience capsule. After using it, it greatly raises your current soul power maximum. So it boosts your current soul power cap. The 3 were still a little lost. After all, something like an experience capsule was totally beyond what they'd learned as spirit masters. I smiled and gave an analogy. Say you're level 29 now, and it would take you 10 days to reach level 30. If you use this capsule, you'll get a full day's worth of soul power immediately. So you'll only need 9 days. Of course, that's not completely accurate. It's just an analogy. You can also think of it as increasing your training speed by 1/10. And there's no level restriction, which means if you're a titled Daluo, you can still increase your training speed by 1/10 using it. So it boosts your cultivation speed. That's amazing. and with no restrictions. Now the three finally understood and were shocked. They even started thinking further ahead, already making long-term plans, because this experience capsule doesn't seem like much at low levels. When it only takes a month or two to raise your soul power by one level, cutting the time by 1/10 isn't noticeable. But after reaching title Daluo, the true effect of the experience capsule appears. Everybody knows that gaining just one level as a title Daluo takes years, sometimes a year, sometimes over 10 years, or even decades. At that point, being able to ignore your level and raise your soul power cap by 10% is insanely valuable. It can save you years of hard work. A few years for a title Daluo. Isn't that worth 100,000 gold soul coins? Totally worth it. Besides, the golden generation of the Spirit Hall, as long as they survive, are all destined to become title Daluo. Getting an experience capsule now is basically paving the way for their future. Ziyu carefully put the experience capsule away.
He was already dreaming about.
When he became a title Daluo, what if he had saved up dozens or even 100 experience capsules and used them all at once? Wouldn't that mean you could instantly become as powerful as His Holiness the Pope? Hulina looked at me curiously. Boss, where exactly are you from? How can you have something so incredible? I smiled. Where I come from isn't important. All you need to remember is that I'm just a businessman doing open, honest trade. As you can see, this tiny capsule, in a certain sense, is even more important than a soul bone. So it's not really a loss. So next, are you still planning to open more jars? If the dungeon players heard what I just said, they'd definitely call me heartless. It's just a trashy experience capsule, not even a level up scroll. And yet I've hyped it up so much. After hearing what I said, Hulina and Ziyu exchanged a glance. They could read the meaning in each other's eyes. Then Ziyu waved his hand grandly and boldly declared, "Let's open the rest with all the money left. Give me 4 more jars." In his mind, this boss was genuinely conscientious. Even if you can't guarantee every jar contains a soul bone worth 1,000,000 gold soul coins, the items that come out of them are, in a certain sense, worth just as much as soul bones. So what's there to hesitate about? Just go for it. With just those 2 jars, they've already made their money back. No matter what they get next, it's all profit. Have you thought it through? I confirmed once more. This looks like a sure win with no chance to lose. What's there to consider? Ziyu smirked, then changed his tone. Boss, are you having second thoughts? Relax, I'm not a greedy person. If I get a full set of soul bones, I'll stop. I won't make you lose too much.
He thought I was afraid of taking too much of a loss.
But little did he know I was already thrilled inside. Maybe you'll make a killing, but I won't lose out either. I wish they would open dozens of jars. After all, with each one sold, I get a 10 times explosion rate rebate. The more jars that are sold, the more I can open. This time, I'm not going to be picky. Let's start with the first one in the first row. Ziyu picked out the jars. I collected the remaining 400,000 golden soul coins. Then I neatly placed the 4 jars on the counter. Ziyu is getting even more skilled.
He grabbed the lucky magic hammer
And smashed the jars one after another in one go. 3 consecutive white flashes. Ziyu's eyelids twitched instantly. This is totally normal, even though he says he can't lose, and that he can accept anything. Who doesn't want to get good stuff every time? Finally, the last jar shattered. A purple light shined exceptionally bright. It's purple again. Does that mean another soul bone is coming? Jiyu's blood pressure spiked instantly. Her eyes even turned red. Her breathing got anxious too. Hulina looked confused. What's up with the purple light? Why is brother reacting so strongly? It popped out. Last time when Ziyu got a soul bone, it was this same glow. Yan, standing nearby, gasped in astonishment, which startled Hulina. Could it really be another soul bone this time? Or is it not just a scam with soul bones as bait? Hulina was shocked. She subconsciously looked at what Ziyu was holding. At that moment, the deep purple glow faded away. It turned out to be a light blue disc about the size of his palm. There were 8 black dots dotting its surface. In the very center, a black vortex slowly swirled. An enhancer? My eyebrows raised. I could recognize this thing even without checking the description. Want to spice up your boring life? Katz's enhancer is just what you need. Feel the thrill of 40 straight losses and lose all hope in life. System information popped up. Enhancer level. Rare equipment enhancement has now switched to soul ring enhancement. You can designate any soul ring for enhancement. Once the enhancement succeeds, your soul ring's maximum age increases based on its current age. The higher the enhancement level, the greater the increase. But there is a risk your soul ring will shatter. Reading the enhancer's description, I felt nothing at all inside. I even felt like laughing a little. Soul ring explosion? Now that's exciting. I could already imagine it in my head. Someone breaks their back getting their ring to +11, gets cocky, pushes their luck and fails the upgrade. Soul ring explodes. Just imagining it is exhilarating. I wonder if anyone would go even further and blow up all their soul rings, then quit the game.
Boss.
Could you explain what exactly this thing does? Ziyu studied it for a long time but couldn't figure it out. Doesn't look like food. Doesn't seem usable either. The longer he looked, the more confused he got. Ziyu's question also reflected what Hulina and John were thinking. Especially Hulina. She was thinking she could witness the miracle of another soul bone from a jar. But this weird item came out instead, though it does look good. And pretty mysterious too. But is good looking and mysterious really worth 100,000 golden soul coins? I cleared my throat and didn't keep them guessing. I explained directly that this is an enhancer. You can use it to enhance any existing soul ring. If the enhancement is successful, your soul ring's age will increase. Enhance a soul ring? What does that even mean? With this new concept, the three of them still didn't fully get it. I thought for a moment and said, let me give an example. Suppose your first soul ring has an age of 100 years. Then after using this enhancer and succeeding, the ring's age would go up to around 110 years. Of course, my suggestion is to enhance your higher level rings first. That way the boost is bigger. Like if you have a 10,000 years soul ring, after a successful enhancement, its age will go up by 1,000 years. A 1,000 year increase is pretty significant. Your spirit abilities get stronger, your base strength and speed, and even your soul power will all get an obvious improvement. And that's just my conservative estimate, based on experience. A +1 enhancement gives about a 10% boost to the base stats. After I finished, all three of them were breathing heavily. They all realized how valuable the enhancer was. It's really amazing, being able to increase a soul ring's age. This treasure isn't any less than a soul bone. Yan couldn't help but exclaim. He even looked at Ziyu with envy. Flena's eyes were also filled with joy. That's true. Being able to pick any soul ring to enhance. That's just insane. If I had a 91,000 year ring, a 10% increase would make it a 100,000 year ring. A 100,000 year soul ring. After hearing Hulina's fantasy, Ziyu's eyes sparkled. You know, a 100,000 year soul ring is the dream of every soul master. Soul beasts that old are so rare. But today they found a shortcut to owning a 100,000 year soul ring. After hearing what Hulina said, I chuckled and shook my head. You make a good point, but I need to let you know one thing. A soul ring can be enhanced more than once. It can be enhanced countless times, and each boost you get is way better than the one before. My words hit them like a heavy hammer. It can stack? So that means you could upgrade endlessly. And even a 100-year ring could become a 100,000 year ring. Hulina quickly had that thought, and instantly made a lot of connections. The first soul ring, 100,000 years? You guys are ambitious. I kinda wanted to laugh. You can tell they've never been crushed by the odds. To dare to say something so bold. What I said next was like a bucket of cold water. I have to remind you of something. Soul ring enhancement isn't without risks. After a +3 enhancement, there's a chance of failure. And your enhancement level can drop. And if you fail at higher levels, your soul ring could even shatter. So there's always a risk to enhancement. Do it carefully. Boss, what happens if it shatters? Yan asked after realizing the problem. Unable to hold back, I looked at him with a half smile. What else do you think? If it breaks, it's gone. That means you'll lose that soul ring forever. If you fail at +10 or higher, you'll lose your soul ring for good. After hearing me out, Ziyu, Hulina, and Yan were all deeply shaken. That punishment is just too much. A soul master losing their soul ring is basically a death sentence. I could instantly guess what they were thinking. I said seriously, all I can say is, risks and opportunities always go hand in hand. If you want to gain great power, you have to be ready for the consequences. That's the price for wanting to become stronger. I wonder if there's any way to avoid this problem. After a while, Hulina asked, he believes in the magic of this little shop. There should be a way to avoid it. Of course there is. I gave Hulina a deep look. The problem comes from the jar. So we need to find a solution inside the jar. As far as I know, there's an item in the jar called a reinforcement protection circle. It can take the place of your spirit ring. It absorbs the penalty if you fail above plus 10 reinforcement. It ensures your spirit ring won't break, but your reinforcement level will be reset to 0.
Hearing this,
Hulina, Ziyu, and Yan all let out a sigh of relief. Getting your spirit ring's reinforcement reset to 0 is way better than having it shatter. As for this result, they can accept it. Seeing this, I couldn't help but smile. Isn't it a bit early for you guys to be worrying about this now? You haven't even got to plus 1 reinforcement yet, and you're already thinking about problems after plus 10. You're definitely overthinking it. That's true, now that I mentioned it. Ziyu and Yan both looked a bit awkward. Hulina's face even turned a little red. Their behavior right now is really just worrying over nothing. I shook my head slightly, stopped looking at them, and turned my attention to the table. There were still 3 items waiting to be identified on the broken jar. One jar had the experience capsules we'd seen before. The other 2 were the same item. They were also the same color, small blue bottles the size of a thumb. Each seemed to contain some kind of liquid. Magical juice, normal grade. Mana recovery has been converted to spirit power recovery. Restores 30% of your spirit power when used. These recovery potions are basically a safety net. I stopped letting my mind wander, looked at Ziyu and said, not too bad, I guess. I won't repeat the stuff about the experience capsules. The other 2 small blue bottles are called magical juice. After using one, you instantly recover 30% of your spirit power. That's all there is to it. After listening to my brief explanation, Ziyu looked a bit disappointed. They're both white-grade items, but these ones aren't as good as the experience capsules. You know, as for recovering or healing, or even boosting spirit power, a lot of support-type spirit masters can already do that. So magical juice's ability isn't much of a novelty. If he could choose, Ziyu would rather choose experience capsules. Hulina asked from the side, is there any level requirement? I shook my head. No, and this item is tradable. In other words, you can share it with anyone. If that's the case, it actually sounds pretty good. When working alone or facing a crisis, it might have unexpected effects. Hulina analyzed it like this. You're right. After listening to Hulina's explanation, Ziyu felt much better. He then carefully put away all the treasures from the table.
anyway.
He definitely profited. It's just among the lost 4 jars. 2 items were worse, but they're not totally useless. Overall, today was a huge win, Ziyu thought to himself, and looked at me with a bit more sympathy and confusion. He sympathized because he made a big gain, and as the boss, I obviously lost out. He couldn't understand why I acted so unpredictably. With so many great items, I didn't auction them off. If I sold them outside, the price could increase several times, maybe even tenfold. Frankly, the 600,000 coins spent opening jars might not even be enough to buy 1 enhancer. Yet I put these things in jars for just 100,000 gold soul coins each. It's basically charity work. Confused? Why am I selling jars here? I saw through Ziyu's thoughts and casually replied, once you reach my level, you'll understand. Just talking nonsense. I was helpless about it. If I could, I'd love to smash every jar. But I can't. Only when they're sold. Will the system reward with 10 times the lucky magic jar? Seeing Ziyu put away all the items he opened, I showed a professional smile. Ziyu, you've opened 6 jars. After you open 3 more, the next one will get double rewards. Do you want to go for the double rewards? Ziyu heard that, and his eyes lit up. If I hadn't reminded him, he would have totally forgotten. To say he wasn't tempted would be a lie. But Hulina tugged at Ziyu's sleeve and said, "Bro, we're out of money." Ziyu felt like a cold shower poured over him. That's when he realized, without noticing, he'd spent all his savings. But it's just 4 more for the double rewards. Ziyu was both eager and helpless. He could only sigh in the end. "Boss, if I gather enough money and come back to open jars, can I still get the double reward?" People only stay poor for a while, not their whole life. Ziyu was determined that once he had the money, he would return. No need to worry about that. I said about the jars, within 7 days, everyone can buy up to 10 jars, counting from the moment you make your first purchase. No matter when you get your 10th jar within 7 days, you'll get the double reward. So that's how it works. Then I'll go and raise the money. Ziyu breathed out in relief. 6 days left. Even if he has to sell everything, he can get 400,000 gold soul coins. He was determined to get that double reward. "Boss, see you." Hulina waved goodbye to me. Her smile was beautiful. She didn't say anything, just nodded at me. But I could see the deep longing in her eyes. No doubt about it. She's a potential customer. For customers who come to me, of course I won't turn them away. Smiling and nodding, I said, "You're always welcome." Then I quietly watched the 3 of them push the door and leave. By now, a crowd had already gathered outside the shop. Hulina and the other 2 appeared, instantly drawing countless eyes. Look, their faces are full of joy. Did they just score another treasure? Even if they didn't find anything else, just 1 soul bone is incredibly valuable. They're out. Now it's my turn, right? But some newcomers heard the discussion and were totally shocked. What? 100,000 gold soul coins for a jar? And you all wait in line? Are you nuts? While everyone discussed, someone already stepped forward to ask, "Sorry to bother you 3 for a bit. Just wanted to ask how many jars you opened. This time, did you find another soul bone?" When he said that, the crowd instantly quieted down. He asked what everyone was thinking. Are soul bones really found in jars? Or is it just a gimmick? The 3 looked at each other, and Hulina replied, "What you get from a jar is always random, and the value isn't fixed. Aside from the first jar, we opened 5 more afterwards. Not a single soul bone. Not 1 soul bone showed up. 500,000 gold soul coins went down the drain. See, I told you. Nobody would actually put soul bones in jars for charity. The facts prove. It's just an attention-grabbing gimmick." The crowd erupted at those words. But just then, Hulina added, "Although we didn't get a soul bone, in a way, we got something no worse than a soul bone." Everyone was stunned, then filled with confusion. What's no worse than a soul bone? Could it be a soul ring? That's getting ridiculous. Impossible. A jar is in the soul beast. How could it produce soul rings? Everyone started guessing, resulting in all sorts of wild answers. Hulina couldn't help but facepalm. "All right, stop guessing. It's a treasure called an enhancer. After use, it can infinitely enhance soul rings. It makes your soul rings years increase without limit." Hulina roughly explained the effect of the enhancer. As for the precautions I mentioned, she left those out. Mainly, the full explanation is so long. It's too much trouble to clarify. Besides, who knows if these people will even open jars? And whether they'll ever find an enhancer is even less certain. Explaining everything is pointless. She only had to share what's most attractive with everyone. So she was basically promoting my store. Sure enough, her words had a huge impact, stunning everyone present. The crowd gasped. The ability to endlessly enhance soul rings with a treasure that increases their years is truly incredible. Keep in mind, everyone here is a soul master, but not a single one recalls in their studies anything about enhancing soul rings. Since ancient times, soul masters absorb soul rings. However many years they absorb, that's what they get.
It's set.
There's no such thing as growing later. Little girl, you're not teaming up with the boss to trick us, are you? Someone questioned her then. Yeah, I honestly don't believe it. If you're making up stuff, at least be believable. It's not that people don't believe. It's not that I don't believe it, but I just can't accept it. If what these 3 people said is true, then the history of soul masters in the Daluo continent will be rewritten from now on. But at that moment, A cold snort sounded. It suppressed all the chaotic voices. The crowd unconsciously parted. An elderly man in a red robe walked onto the scene. His face was stern and commanding. Even without displaying any powerful aura, his presence alone was enough to make people avoid eye contact. Everyone's breathing grew rapid. Who would have thought they'd see such a big shot like the red-robed cardinal today? The red-robed elder walked through the crowd, and after arriving in front of Hulina and her two companions, he looked around at everyone. He said in a deep voice, "Do you know who you're questioning? This young lady is personally taught by His Holiness the Pope. Think about it. How noble is that status? Would she ever cooperate with a small shop to deceive you?" As soon as he said those words, the venue became even more quiet. No one dared to question anymore. The title His Holiness the Pope holds tremendous weight. That dignified and noble Pope, in the hearts of most soul, masters in Spirit City, is like a god, not to be desecrated. Of course, her disciple is just as noble, beyond question. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you earlier. Please forgive my reckless words." Those who had raised doubts before all apologized one after another. They truly hoped to be forgiven. "Forget it, you didn't know, so I won't blame you." Hulina shook her head gently. She then said, "Let's go. I must go to the Pope's hall immediately to see my teacher. I'll tell my teacher everything that happened here. This little shop is important to our spirit hall, and to the whole Soul Master world." After Hulina finished speaking, she led Ziyu and Yan and walked out of the crowd. They were heading to meet the Pope, to recount today's events. No one can stop them. In a while, even if you want to enter the hall to open jars, you must follow the rules. Absolutely no noise. Otherwise, you bear the consequences. After the red-robed elder said this, he left the area, watching everyone leave. The pressure in the venue suddenly lessened. The atmosphere became lively again. Someone wiped the sweat from their forehead and exclaimed, "Oh my God, I really can't believe this is real." An infinitely enhanced soul ring. Doesn't that mean you could easily get a 100,000-year soul ring? You're daydreaming. You really think the shop is a charity? Even His Holiness the Pope's disciple just said, "The jar that's worth 100,000 gold soul coins is full of uncertainty. If your luck's bad, it's not advised to open it." That's right. Those who are thinking of opening a jar should really think it through. 100,000 gold soul coins is no small amount. A B-rank soul master might not save up that much for years. If you have bad luck, years of hard work could go down the drain. Gradually, people went from impulsive to calm. But more and more gathered in front of the shop. They started lining up in an orderly fashion. They didn't forget what that cardinal said just now. At the same time, some people had seen how I threw out that troublemaking soul master earlier. They guessed that the owner himself must also be a powerful soul master. I'm standing behind the counter, watching the long line forming outside the shop. The corners of my mouth curl up slightly, showing a small smile. If this keeps up, selling 100 jaws today won't be hard. Thinking about the reward I'm about to get, a phrase pops into my mind. Today is another day full of hope. At this moment, the first soul master in line had already come inside. He looked extremely excited. In my eyes, this soul master doesn't look like someone who's here to spend money. It's more like he's here to pick up free money. With a bang, he walked up to the counter.
He threw a burlap sack from his back onto the counter
And urgently said, "Boss, give me a jar. Not too many, not too few. Just one for 100,000 gold soul coins." After I accepted the money, I pointed at the shelves behind me and said, "The jar's up there. Pick whichever you want." As soon as I finished speaking, he had already made up his mind. "That one. I have a feeling about it. I'm sure there's going to be something good this time." He was talking about the jar directly in front of him. I took the jar down from the shelf, placed it on the counter, and told him to smash it open with the hammer at hand. He was pretty straightforward. Picked up the hammer and smashed it. Crack, the jar shattered, and a flash of white light came and went. Next, there was a clang. The hammer fell onto the counter. "What's this?" He was holding a coin, half gold, half silver, and engraved with a bizarre smiling face. System notification appeared. Coin of fate, normal grade, tradable. Description: the great death or the humble life. Your fate was decided long ago. After use, there's a 50% chance of getting doom or full recovery. Doom means instant death. Full recovery restores all your injuries. Unbelievable. Even this damn coin of fate can be pulled from a jar. I was a bit speechless. I still remember back when I played the game. In the early versions, this was the go-to healing item for all the luckiest players. But for me, I used it 10 times and died 10 times. Only on the 11th try did I barely manage to heal. Basically, I used these coins to kill myself, then revived using a revival coin to refresh my skills. Boss, why aren't you saying anything? Are you shocked? The thing I got is pretty awesome, right? The Soul Master holding the coin of fate nervously asked. Well, it all depends on luck. Why do I say it's all about luck? This coin in your hand is called a coin of fate. It's really easy to use. Just toss it up into the air. If you're lucky, it'll show magical power, healing all your injuries, restoring you to peak condition instantly, and bringing back your manly vigor, he exclaimed with excitement, laughing, haha. See? I knew my luck wasn't bad. As long as I have this coin, I've basically got an extra life now. For someone like me, who's always on the edge between life and death, this is just invaluable. At his words, I pulled the corners of my mouth. This guy is way too optimistic. I stopped him mid-sentence. Let me finish first. That's only if you're lucky.
If not,
You'll be struck down by doom instantly. Struck dead by lightning. After hearing what I said, he froze up. It took him quite a while to process. Then, in a trembling voice, he asked, "What did you say?" Unlucky means getting struck by lightning? He looked at the strange coin in his hand, but couldn't force himself to smile anymore. How is this an extra life? It's basically a death sentence. That's right. I nodded and reminded him again, in this shop, don't use it unless you're in a real life or death situation. Even if you are, avoid it if you can. How is that any different from getting nothing? There goes my 100,000 gold soul coins. He felt awful, so depressed he almost wanted to spit blood. Why is it that someone else opens a jar and instantly gets a soul bone? And then even gets a treasure that can increase soul ring age. But what he got is, who knows what this is? It's nothing like what others got, to be honest. He felt like getting nothing would have been better. He got some stupid coin he can't even use. Just thinking about it irritates him. That's how it is with jars. What you get is pure luck. I shrugged, showing that I was helpless too. Honestly, I wish everyone could open a soul bone. Or other great stuff. That would really boost this shop's sales. The more jars I sell, the more I benefit. But reality just doesn't work that way. All of a sudden, he frowned and suspiciously asked, "Boss, you're not giving people different jars based on who they are you? You knew that girl before was the Pope's disciple, so you purposely gave her a jar with good stuff inside and gave us the leftovers?" Sly merchant, sly merchant. No merchant is ever not sly. He believes the Pope's disciple did not collude with the shopkeeper. But who knows? Maybe the owner is using them as a way to drum up business. After quietly listening to him, I chuckled once. This shop is run with integrity. The jars are right there. You picked it yourself. Whatever you get is pure luck. And as for the first jar producing a soul bone, that's just good luck on their part. After that, they spent 500,000 gold soul coins and opened 5 jars just to get a booster. Do you still think it's shady? No, not anymore. He stopped arguing, but blowing 100,000 gold soul coins for nothing left him really down. And it totally showed on his face. Seeing this, I said calmly, before coming in, "You must have seen the words on both sides of the door, right?" That's right, creating happiness with money is what this shop is all about. Take a moment and think about why you're not happy. My voice was light, but went straight for the heart. It's the kind of thing that can really get people thinking. After a moment, his eyes lit up just a bit. I think I get it now. How about I open another one? After hearing what I said, he figured it out. The reason he was upset was because he didn't get anything good. He couldn't accept that only opening jars could solve the problem. Such a promising kid. I nodded to myself as the soul master in front of me paid. I also placed the jar he wanted on the counter. Crack, the jar shattered. That soul master's heart broke too. Why is it just a white light again? I saw what was inside. A smile appeared on my face. Not bad. This time it's an experience capsule. If you eat this, It'll greatly improve your cultivation. Honestly, it's actually kind of useful. That Soul Master's face showed uncertainty. Is it real or fake? You can try it yourself and see. Alright, I'll give it a try. After saying that, the Soul Master tossed the experience capsule straight into his mouth. The next second, his face suddenly turned red. A few breaths later, a burst of soul power exploded from him. It's real. It's actually real. The Soul Master was so excited he couldn't speak coherently. Just this little experience capsule directly pushed my soul power to level 60. It saved me 2 years of hard work. As soon as I get a soul ring, I'll become a soul emperor. Thank you, boss. You're truly a good person. See? As long as you spend your money right. There's no such thing as unhappiness. Create happiness with money. I'm serious about it. I chuckled and said, looks like your luck has turned around. Why not open 2 more for fun? It's actually not that magical. It just means he was already close to a breakthrough. To be precise, his soul power had already reached level 59. Over 90%, the experience capsule only gave the last 10% boost. That was just enough for him to break through. But outsiders don't know all these details. They just think it's the experience capsule's magic. Meanwhile, Hulina, Ziyu Yan and the 3 of them had already arrived at the Pope's hall. But they were told, His Majesty the Pope is discussing important matters with several elders. A servant came forward and said, Sir, why don't you go back and wait? I'll inform His Majesty the Pope that you've been here. No, I'll wait here. But Hulina shook her head firmly. What I have to report is too important. As soon as the teacher is available, I must see them immediately. Not a moment can be wasted. Sorry, boss. I appreciate your kindness, but I really have no money left. In this shop, a soul king who just broke through to level 60. His face kept changing between pale and green. The awkwardness was written all over his face. Money isn't the problem. The problem is having no money. Actually, people like him are the normal type of soul master. A soul king is considered pretty strong outside. In the Heaven Do or Star Luo empires, they could even earn a title of nobility. But in Spirit City, known as the Holy Land for Soul Masters, soul kings are everywhere. Most of the soul masters here devote themselves to hard training, chasing after higher realms. There aren't actually many rich ones. But to give up now, he felt a bit unwilling. So he braced himself and asked the boss, Can I put 2 jars on credit? I'll pay you back when I have the money. Sorry, no credit this shop. Come back and try when you have money. My answer was crisp and direct. Sorry for bothering you. I was too greedy.
The man sighed
And shook his head. Then turned to walk out of the shop. Look, that guy who just went in is coming out. Bro, tell us. What did you get? Looking so dejected. Did you get ripped off? He had barely stepped out, and a group of people rushed over, eagerly questioning him. Lost money. The soul master froze for a moment. Then a strange look flashed in his eyes. He shook his head. I didn't hit the jackpot, but I definitely didn't lose. Then why do you look so down? I'm sad because I'm too poor. If only I had more money to open more jars. After hearing this, everyone was puzzled. Damn, is it really that amazing? Are you sure the shopkeeper didn't brainwash you? Aren't you curious what I got? Let me tell you. Just then, he spoke up again. I opened 2 jars in total. The first one had a destiny coin. Hard to say exactly how much it's worth. The second one had an experience capsule. After I used it, my soul power jumped up. I broke through level 59 and reached level 60. As soon as he said that, everyone gasped in amazement. A treasure that can boost soul power, what does that mean? Everyone here is a soul master. Its importance goes without saying. To get good soul rings and powerful soul bones, they all rely on one basic thing. And that's soul power. Without soul power to back it up, everything else is empty talk. This is getting ridiculous. First someone drew a soul bone. Then there was a soul ring enhancer. Now an experience capsule that boosts soul power. What's next? A treasure that can evolve a martial soul. You're daydreaming. All these years of soul master training taught us. Such treasures simply don't exist. I'm starting to think I was just drunk yesterday. Maybe I haven't sobered up yet. Maybe this is all a dream. Otherwise, how could there be so many? Things not even found in fairy tales? The crowd buzzed with discussion. You don't believe me? As he spoke, Powerful soul energy erupted from him, forcing the people nearby to step back several feet. That kind of soul power is terrifying. He really is a level 60 soul king. Just needs a soul ring to become a soul emperor. Of course, there were strong people in the crowd. They instantly recognized his new level. But here's the problem. Who knows if he could have broken through on his own? Or if it was the result of that experience capsule. Hey, old Zheng. It really is you. You broke through. Wait, that's odd. You should need another year or two at least. A couple people recognized this soul master, crying out in shock from the crowd. After that, no one doubted anymore. Everyone got excited. So it's all real. I'm done hesitating. Whatever happens, I want to open 2 jars too. Suddenly, a crowd gathered outside the shop. Meanwhile, in the Pope's palace, the tightly closed hall, the doors opened. A voice came from inside the hall. Nana, you may come in. The voice was cold and clear. It was almost impossible to tell any emotion. Hulina and Ziyu exchanged a glance and walked into the hall. Yan looked, and of course chose to follow. The grand hall was lavishly decorated, but no matter how luxurious the decor, it couldn't hide the coldness within, just like the Pope's own heart, cold and lonely. At this moment, there were only 3 people in the hall. The most eye-catching was undoubtedly the figure on high. He wore a purple gold 9-curved crown and held a 2-meter-long scepter, standing before the throne that symbolized the Pope's position. A radiant golden gown fit them perfectly from head to toe. The dazzling robe sparkled with brilliance, making their already flawless features even more striking. Noble, elegant, serene, every compliment could apply to this woman. Below sat 2 people. One had skin as delicate as a baby's. Their alluring looks gave off a unique vibe. If not for the Adam's apple, no one would believe he was a man. This was Chrysanthemum Duluo, Iguana Spirit Hall Elder. And the other wore black robes, with a pale face, completely bloodless, and a permanent chill in his eyes. Hulina recognized him. He was her teacher's other right-hand man, Ghost Duluo, Gui Mei. When they reached the front of the hall, Hulina withdrew her gaze and gave a respectful bow. Greetings, teacher. Greetings, your holiness. Ziyu and Yan bowed deeply with great respect. No need for such formality. Bibi Dong nodded gently and looked at Hulina, just as I was discussing things with the 2 elders. I heard you had something urgent to say. Go ahead and tell me now. Hulina was ready. She turned to Ziyu. Show her everything you got today. He knew today's matter was complex. Without something tangible, no one would believe it. So he decided to go all in. Ziyu nodded and took out box after box from his soul tool storage. Everything from the shop is a treasure. Of course he had to take good care of them. What is this? Not just Chrysanthemum Duluo and Ghost Duluo. Even the noble Pope had a look of confusion on her stunning face. A trace of puzzlement and doubt appeared. Could this important news Nana mentioned actually be gifts for me? Teacher, elders, you might not know yet, but something interesting just happened in Spirit City. Or you could say we have an interesting new jar shop. You only need to spend 100,000 soul coins to open a jar. You might get all sorts of amazing items. Seeing everyone look puzzled, Hulina didn't keep them guessing. She simply introduced my jar shop. What he said wasn't hard to understand. Everyone understood. In other words, you all spend 100,000 soul coins for these things. Ghost Duluo suddenly thought of something. He looked at the exquisite boxes in Ziyu's arms. He took a sharp breath. These items must be those miraculous things Hulina mentioned. Number. Afraid everyone would misunderstand. Hulina quickly shook her head. Ghost Duluo was relieved to hear that. He muttered to himself. 100,000 soul coins is no small amount. Maybe it's nothing to us. But some people will never see that much in a lifetime. If this money goes to buying jars, that's a real waste. Then Hulina said, you couldn't buy these with just 100,000 soul coins. We spent 600,000. What? 600,000? Hulina's words left Ghost Duluo shocked. Chrysanthemum Duluo nearly choked on his own spit. 600,000 soul coins is no small sum. That's enough for Spirit Hall to pay for. Soul Masters under level 30. To receive 2 months of basic support. Even Bibi Dong's beautiful eyes flashed with a hint of surprise when she heard that. Nana, even if money is just a number to us, it's not something to throw around like this. Bibi Dong's tone was calm, but there was a hint of seriousness.
Hundreds of thousands of soul coins may mean little to him.
But as his successor, Hulina needs to understand what money should be spent and what shouldn't be. After all, in the future, countless people in Spirit Hall will count on Hulina. Teacher, I get what you're saying. But we didn't just waste money. Hulina stuck out her tongue and said. Besides, these items were really worth it. We actually made a huge profit. If nothing else, my brother actually got a spirit bone from a jar. What? You got a spirit bone? That's impossible. Who would be so foolish? Hearing Hulina's words, Chrysanthemum Daluo and Ghost Daluo exclaimed in surprise at the same time. They were both spirit masters, so they naturally knew the value of a soul bone. Any random piece is worth over 1 million, and they are the type that are rare and hard to find even with money. And now, Hulina and the others had actually obtained one for just 600,000 gold spirit coins. If it's true, they could earn hundreds of thousands of gold spirit coins just by reselling it. It is indeed a massive profit. Brother, take out the soul bone you got and show it to teacher and the elders. Hulina turned her head to remind Shiyu. Shiyu nodded upon hearing this, first tossing the boxes in his arms to Yan, leaving only a palm-sized box in his hand. He opened it for everyone to see. Immediately, a wave of spirit power fluctuations spread throughout the main hall. Sensing something unusual in this aura, Ghost Deluo's pupils shrank suddenly, and he nodded with a solemn expression. Not to mention, it really is a soul bone. Based on this spirit power alone, the age of this soul bone is at least around 5,000 years. I can't believe someone would actually sell a soul bone so cheaply. Chrysanthemum Deluo also saw it, his eyelids twitching, as he spoke in a feminine voice, aside from the 3 young ones. Everyone present was a titled Daluo, and powerful ones at that. They could easily distinguish the extraordinary nature of the soul bone. Number. Since that shop could call out the name of a soul bone, they naturally know its value. The owner of that shop couldn't possibly be a fool. Bibi Dong, however, slowly shook her head,
Denying Chrysanthemum Daluo's words.
Your Majesty, you mean? Chrysanthemum Daluo asked, inquiring in a low voice. What do you think? Bibi Dong showed a rare, slight smile. It has been a long time since I've met someone with such boldness. To actually be willing to use a soul bone as a gimmick. Chrysanthemum Daluo and Ghost Daluo suddenly realized. The value of a soul bone is self-evident. Being able to throw out a soul bone to attract people is indeed a grand gesture. The shop owner's spending is indeed lavish. When I was in the small shop, I didn't believe it when I heard the owner say soul bones could be obtained. I really didn't. Who would have thought that after opening a jar out of curiosity, I actually pulled out a soul bone? I was completely stunned at the time. Recalling these events, Shiyu's eyes still showed a trace of disbelief. But I can be certain it's not a gimmick. If your luck is good enough, others will definitely be able to pull out soul bones too. Still able to pull out soul bones? Hehe, how naive. After hearing Shiyu's words, Ghost Daluo said one sentence and then smiled without further comment. Did he really think the shopkeeper was running a charity? Chrysanthemum Daluo also agreed with Ghost Daluo's thought. It's indeed because you, Shiyu, had good luck. Your luck was good because you were the first to open a jar. Otherwise, this soul bone would have belonged to someone else. If it were really as magical as you say, that anyone can get a soul bone as long as they are lucky, I would immediately take out all my savings to open jars. How precious are soul bones. One only needs to look at him to know. Even as a rank 95 titled Daluo, he didn't even have 2 on him. For someone to be willing to take one out to attract people is already a massive undertaking. To be honest, Chrysanthemum Daluo was even a bit envious of Shiyu's fortune. If I hadn't witnessed it all with my own eyes, and someone told me this, I wouldn't have believed it either. Hulina felt no anger or grievance, patiently explaining.
Elders.
I can testify. This really isn't a gimmick. It was indeed my brother's good luck. Furthermore, if you think the soul bone is the best thing there, then you are mistaken. She once again made a shocking statement. Hearing this, Chrysanthemum Daluo frowned. This was getting more and more absurd. Ghost Daluo also had a look of disbelief. As spirit masters for decades, Their knowledge was firmly established. How could there be a treasure in this world better than a soul bone? Never mind them. Even Baby Dong frowned. Nana, have you been neglecting your studies lately? How could you forget such simple knowledge? Since that's the case, starting tomorrow, don't go anywhere. Just stay in the spirit hall and study hard. Shi Yu and Yan will join you as well. Teacher, I'm really not talking nonsense. Hulina's expression changed slightly, and she quickly said to Shi Yu, Brother, take out the reinforcer. If we don't prove we aren't lying, teacher is going to punish me. A reinforcer? What is that? Everyone was stunned. They had never heard of the term before. In the next moment, everyone saw Shi Yu move. From among several boxes, he pulled out a disc that looked like jade. It was dotted with several black spots. The first impression it gave was one of mystery. But besides being mysterious, nothing else could be seen. Bibi Dong frowned in thought, trying to search her memory for any records related to a reinforcer. At this time, Chrysanthemum Deluo's feminine voice rang out again. This is the thing that's more precious than a soul bone. Hulina nodded with certainty. Yes, this treasure is called a reinforcer. It has only one effect, to reinforce spirit rings, increasing the years of a spirit ring. Thinking about it, she felt the description wasn't precise enough, so she added, theoretically, using the reinforcer can infinitely increase the years of a spirit ring. Even a first spirit ring has the potential to become a 100,000-year spirit ring. Spirit rings can be infinitely reinforced, and after repeated reinforcement, a first spirit ring can become a 100,000-year spirit ring. Just how much did you drink at lunch? In his decades of life? Not to mention seeing it. He had never even heard of such a thing. Ghost Deluo said in a raspy voice. He couldn't imagine what would happen if this were true. But then he thought, no, this can't possibly be true. Ghost, have you gone stupid? How could there be such an unrealistic idea? Ghost Deluo felt ridiculous even considering it. At this time, the Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong finally spoke. Nana, do you know what the words you just said imply? If you cannot prove this is true, I will have to punish you severely. She was getting a little angry. If it weren't for her favoritism, Hulina wouldn't be talking nonsense here. She carried the inheritances of the Asura god and the Rakshasa god. She knew many secrets. Increasing the years of a spirit ring, while such a thing sounded absurd, for those high and mighty gods, it wasn't impossible. However, the conditions were extremely harsh. One needed to complete trials designated by the gods to receive such rewards. How could a so-called reinforcer achieve this? Teacher, I'm not talking nonsense. Hulina was also getting anxious. She turned to Shi Yu and said, Brother, only you can use this thing. Quickly show teacher and the two elders. All right, Shi Yu nodded heavily. In the next moment, two moonblades appeared in his hands. At the same time, 4 colored spirit rings of yellow, yellow, purple, and purple emerged beneath his feet, and an aura belonging exclusively to a spirit ancestor erupted. Ziyu is actually a good kid. At least his soul power is around level 49. He truly is the future hope of our spirit hall. Chrysanthemum Deluo nodded secretly. So young, with such achievements. It's indeed rare. Bibi Dong's eyes flickered slightly. She thought to herself, is it about to begin? For some reason, he was actually looking forward to it, strengthening the 4th soul ring. At that moment, Ziyu shouted coldly, Is that all? Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect Ziyu to say that. But the next second, something strange happened. Suddenly, Ziyu's 4th soul ring slowly floated above his head, out of his control. Then the soul ring kept shrinking in the air, finally becoming the width of a thumb, and fell right into the center of the enhancer, into that pitch-black vortex. It looked so magical. Hulina, Ziyu, and John all widened their eyes. They never thought the process would be this fascinating. Could it be that the so-called enhancer can really strengthen a soul ring? Ghost Deluo and Chrysanthemum Deluo exchanged looks, and one glance was enough to see the shock in each other's eyes. Vaguely, they started to believe Hulina's words a little more. Interesting. Really interesting. For the first time, a rare look of interest appeared on Baby Dong's face, but everyone kept their eyes glued to the enhancer. No one noticed. Clang, clang, clang. As the soul ring entered the enhancer, everyone heard the sound of metal striking metal, like a master blacksmith forging iron in his shop. But the sound didn't last long. It almost made people think it was just their imagination. It should be done, right? Everyone looked forward intently, waiting for Ziyu's answer. Congratulations, you've succeeded in strengthening it. For some reason, a voice echoed in Ziyu's mind. He was very curious. Will it really be like what that boss said? Brother, why are you just standing there? What happened? Hulina grew a little anxious and mumbled softly. Didn't the boss say that before enhancement +3, the soul ring wouldn't be downgraded or shattered? It didn't fail, it actually worked. Ziyu spoke, suddenly having a thought. That soul ring flew out from the enhancer again and returned to him. At the same time, a powerful wave of soul power erupted, and the enhancer shattered into a cluster of blue light at that moment, disappearing quickly. Oh my god, am I seeing this right? The age of the soul ring really increased. That mysterious enhancer is truly capable of something unprecedented. If such an item existed when I was a soul master, and my theory teacher at school found out about this, they wouldn't be able to rest in peace. Ghost Deluo was shocked. Chrysanthemum Deluo said gravely, "This is not an illusion. I was with Ziyu when he hunted his soul ring. His fourth soul ring was about 4,950 years old. But now, after being enhanced, the feeling I get from this soul ring is that it's at least 5,000 years old. The range of that soul power fluctuation should be around 5,400 years. It's increased by about 1/10, Bibi Dong added at this moment. As her words fell, the whole place was filled with gasps. 5,400 years, doesn't that mean Ziyu's fourth soul ring
Has surpassed the recorded
limit of 3,000 to 5,000 years? Yan couldn't help but praise, showing a look of envy in his eyes. Don't underestimate these few hundred years of increase. The benefit to soul masters is considerable, whether it's the strength of soul skills, or the soul master's own power, speed, and soul energy. There are plenty of buffs. That's exactly why soul masters all pursue high-level soul rings.
Indeed.
Ziyu has broken through the limit of ordinary soul masters. His future achievements have just risen again. Bibi Dong nodded slightly, showing her approval of Ziyu. So, teacher and elders, Nana wasn't lying to you, was she? It's real. Hulina smiled and let out a sigh of relief. Sure enough, the boss is someone you can trust. He didn't deceive them. I was too narrow-minded earlier. Please don't take it to heart. At their level of cultivation, things like pride don't matter much. I've learned something new today. I've lived for decades, but never thought such treasures could exist in the Daluo continent. Chrysanthemum Deluo also couldn't help but praise, then asked, I guess there must be some restrictions on using this enhancer, right? At his level, no one is naive. He saw with his own eyes the enhancer in Ziyu's hand disappear after the enhancement was completed. It's obvious that something must be up. Elder, you're absolutely right. As you all saw, every enhancement consumes one enhancer. And for enhancement +3 and above, there's a chance of failure and dropping the enhancement level. If you go above +10, if you fail, the soul ring can shatter. Ziyu nodded, hiding nothing. It can shatter. Both Chrysanthemum Deluo and Ghost Deluo gasped. For soul masters, that's an extremely harsh punishment. If it shatters, can it be restored? Chrysanthemum Deluo asked tentatively. No, upon hearing that. Ziyu shook his head. A shattered soul ring is lost forever. You may even have to pay with some soul power as the cost. I didn't mention these things before, but after doing the enhancement once, the information just popped into my mind naturally. Isn't that just too harsh? Chrysanthemum Deluo and Ghost Deluo both changed expressions dramatically. Harsh? I'm not so sure. In the end, it's because you guys are too greedy. Just then, Bibi Dong's cold voice rang out. Even if we take a step back and say every enhancement only increases the soul ring's age by 1/10, even just strengthening to +10, your soul ring age would have more than doubled. Gui Mei, Yu Guan, you two are both titled Deluos. So think carefully, with your soul rings more than doubled in age. How many 100,000 years soul rings could you have? What level would your strength reach? These words made Chrysanthemum Daluo and Ghost Daluo wake up instantly. Yes, we've just been too greedy. Calculating, as the Pope said, getting a ninth soul ring to 100,000 years would be a sure thing. Even their eighth soul rings, with just over 40,000 years, could be enhanced to 100,000 years, having the title of twin 100,000-year soul rings. On the Daluo continent, unless you actively seek death, you could walk unhindered. Ghost Daluo thought to himself. Chrysanthemum Daluo bowed deeply. Your Majesty, you are right. We really were too greedy. As long as you understand. Bibi Dong nodded, and didn't say more, but he still felt a little regretful inside. If only this flaw could really be fixed. With the support of Spirit Hall,
His power
would rise to a terrifying level. However, at this moment, Hulina spoke up. Teacher, elders, the boss said, if you're lucky and get an enhancement protection scroll, even if you fail an enhancement above +10, at worst the previous enhancement effects reset. But the soul ring won't shatter. What? It really can be avoided. That's like getting a pillow when you want to sleep. When Baby Dong heard this, her heart trembled, but she didn't show it on her face. Ghost Daluo was excited, his eyes full of delight. This is amazing! Quick, tell me where that shop is. I'm going there right now. He wants to get 90 enhancers and max out all his soul rings to 10. Wow, does he think enhancers are cabbages? It's not that easy to get them. And aren't you afraid of enhancement failure? Ziyu and Yan both looked awkward on the way, not knowing what to say. The shop is called Lucky Jar Store, and it's on the busiest street in Spirit City. There are probably a lot of people lining up now. When Hulina saw Ghost Daluo about to leave, she quickly reminded him, Elder, please wait. There's no rush to buy jars yet. The shop owner said, the jars are limited, each person can only open 10 per week.
But
Ghost Daluo wanted to say more, but he was cut off. Chrysanthemum Daluo spoke up. That's enough. Old Ghost, calm down. Since the jars are limited, why are you in such a hurry? Why not first see what treasures you got, and then figure out what you actually need? You make a good point. Ghost Daluo nodded. Meanwhile, Bibi Dong was deep in thought. This little shop seems more extraordinary than ever. You know, even if you pass the trials left behind by the gods, you might get a reward that increases your soul ring's age. But that's an extremely complicated process. It's nothing like now. Just toss your soul ring into the enhancer and it's done. It's honestly absurd. Could it be that this boss is the representative left by the gods among mortals? Thinking of this, Bibi Dong felt.
it's highly possible.
Just like Chendao Liu of the Spirit Hall and Bio Seixi of Sea God Island. It's just a shame that on the Daluo continent, records about gods, aside from the Sea God, Shura God, Rakshasa God, and Angel God, are almost non-existent. What's with this person's background? Even she couldn't guess. Well, seeing is better than hearing. I'll find a chance to go personally myself and meet this mysterious shop owner. That's what Bibi Dong was thinking in her heart. Meanwhile, Ziyu had already taken out another small box. He opened it for everyone to see. It's not a soul or an enhancer, but two small things in yellow and green. Chrysanthemum Daluo thought for a moment and asked cautiously, what are these? They're so small, they probably aren't very useful, right? That's really shallow. Products from our shop are guaranteed to be top quality. Don't judge by their size, their pure essence. Hulina turned to look at Ziyu. Brother, tell the two elders what these are. Ziyu nodded. These two little capsules are called experience capsules. Using them can increase soul power and such. This tiny thing can boost soul power. Ghost Daluo was stunned. It's not that he wanted to doubt. It's just the things Ziyu took out were so unusual, and none of them are the same. The elder didn't believe it. Hulina's lips curled in curiosity. Just curious, that's all. Ghost Daluo forced a smile, but his stiff face looked worse than crying when he smiled, like a corpse in a coffin that hasn't decayed yet. Suddenly gets up and gives you a creepy smile. Ziyu, stop keeping us in suspense. Just use it and show us directly. Even Chrysanthemum Daluo couldn't help urging. He had a vague feeling in his heart that this was very likely another treasure no less valuable than a spirit bone. Some might ask why he felt that way. Hey, don't ask. If you have to ask, it's just a woman's intuition. Ziyu responded softly.
He didn't hesitate either. He directly put the experience capsule in his mouth.
Boom! The very next moment, Ziyu felt like a volcano was erupting inside him. A massive amount of spirit power instantly spread throughout his body. His spirit power limit was increasing rapidly. His aura was getting stronger. The experience capsule truly increased spirit power. Bibi Dong nodded almost imperceptibly. Amazing, truly amazing. The speed of this spirit power increase was jaw-dropping. Ghost Deluo couldn't help but whisper. A look of shock appeared on his face. Still, as I said before, he had lived for decades. This was the first time he'd ever seen someone raise their spirit power this way. He was really puzzled. Just how was this experience capsule made? That it could directly enhance someone's spirit power? Amazing, truly amazing. If this thing had no level restrictions or side effects, and you could keep using it, wouldn't I have a shot at breaking through to level 96 in a short time? People have different pursuits. Ghost Deluo wanted to strengthen his spirit rings, while Chrysanthemum Deluo was eager for more spirit power. A moment later, Ziyu's aura gradually stabilized. It looks like you're a step closer to level 50. Just this one little experience capsule saved you several months of cultivation time. Bibi Dong nodded. But these things that suddenly boost your strength can easily lead to inflated combat power. You'll definitely need to refine your foundation later. Ghost Deluo speculated. Some honing would definitely be necessary. As soon as he said this, Chrysanthemum Deluo fully agreed. Yet Ziyu shook his head, disagreeing with them. There's actually no downside to gaining strength with the experience capsule. None of the issues you two elders mentioned. Seeing their skepticism, he added, actually, as my strength increased, I also gained a lot of new insights regarding the use of spirit power.
Honestly,
It was just like putting in months of hard training. If you don't believe me, I still have another experience capsule in my hand. I'll take it right now to show you. Besides, I truly believe, after this dose, my spirit power will absolutely break through level 50. I'll officially become a spirit king. If there's really a way to boost spirit power without effort, that's just incredible. After hearing Ziyu's words, everyone was stunned for a few seconds. Crunch. The experience capsule was like a bean. Crunchy to eat. To prove his point, Ziyu immediately put the second experience capsule in his mouth. The next moment, a surge of powerful spirit energy erupted from Ziyu. He broke through. He really broke through. And his aura was incredibly solid, with not the slightest sign of instability. Chrysanthemum Deluo and Ghost Deluo couldn't help but exclaim. It only took so little time, and Ziyu skipped months of hard work. Truly extraordinary. Even Bibi Dong marveled in amazement. The only question is, what limits does the experience capsule have? The owner never mentioned any restrictions, and I felt fine after taking one. No negative side effects. Ziyu thought about it carefully, but still shook his head. No, there really are no restrictions. There really aren't any. So even a title Deluo could use it. Hearing this, Ghost Deluo was so shocked his voice trembled. The value of these experience capsules is truly immense. For us, even after years, soul masters whose power hasn't increased in decades. It's a real blessing. It's been so many years, and we finally see hope for another breakthrough. Yes, it really is a blessing. Chrysanthemum Deluo fully agreed, and said with longing, I don't need that many. At most 5 experience capsules. And I'll break through to level 96. Level 96. That's the real dividing line. I never thought I'd reach it in this lifetime. But now, I see hope. In my opinion, being able to break through to level 96 is far more important than 1,000-year spirit bone. Now he believed it. Hulina was right. Whether it's the enhancer or the experience capsules, they're every bit as valuable as spirit bones. Even Bibi Dong's eyes sparkled with excitement. She sighed. With these things, the entire spirit master world will be changed forever. They might even change the fates of spirit masters altogether. There will be a huge increase in the number of high-level spirit masters. Well, as long as You have enough money and enough luck. I didn't expect Her Majesty to speak so highly of it. Chrysanthemum Deluo and Ghost Deluo were taken aback. She only understates it, never exaggerates. Bibi Dong didn't explain further, instead turning her gaze to Ziyu. Is there anything else you'd like to show us? There are still 2 bottles of magic juice left. As Ziyu spoke, he took out the last 2 items. Dong explained, magic juice among all the items has the lowest value. After use, it instantly restores a large amount of spirit power. Everyone nodded in agreement. Bibi Dong also gave her opinion. Compared to the previous items, magic juice really isn't that amazing. But honestly, spending 100,000 gold for it isn't a bad deal. When facing an equally matched opponent, it can really make a difference. Your Majesty is absolutely right. While speaking, Ziyu put the magic juice away. Looking at Chrysanthemum Deluo and Ghost Deluo again, they still seemed a little unsatisfied, having lived for decades. Today I've really seen something special. I never imagined such marvelous things would happen in Daluo continent. But what I'm even more curious about is, where did this jar shop owner come from? Why did he do all this? Chrysanthemum Deluo finally voiced his doubts. From beginning to end, this question has always troubled him. Chrysanthemum Deluo's question was also Ghost Deluo's. Even Bibi Dong, who knew many secrets that were hidden from others, still couldn't draw any definite conclusion. He thought for a moment and asked, Nana, what kind of person do you think the shopkeeper is? What kind of person is the shopkeeper? Not just Hulina, but even Ziyu and Yan slipped into reflection. But soon after, his looks weren't exactly handsome, but he was really pleasant to look at. Not too tall and not too short. I think just right, but his shoulders were a bit broad, which gave a sense of security. Everyone, are we choosing a beauty pageant here? Ziyu was utterly speechless. Women, they really do focus on different things. It's always about looks or figure. He just never thought. If the shopkeeper were a beautiful woman instead, the result would be completely different. So much talk, but not a single useful point. While Hulina was describing my looks, I'm leaning against the counter, watching the numbers on the system panel jump non-stop. I can't stop grinning. I've sold 47 jars today. That means the system is returning to me 47 lucky jars with 10x drop rates. The items I get from these jars, I can use for myself. Just thinking about it gets my blood pumping. I take a deep breath and hang the store's sign, showing sold out for today. There's still a long line outside the shop, and when they see this, they let out a wail. But I can't be bothered with them anymore. I pull down the shutter and lock all the doors and windows. I can't wait to take those 47 glittering golden jars out from the system's storage. Unlike the regular jars I sell to customers, these 10x drop rate jars have a faint golden aura shimmering on their surface. They look way more upscale, at a whole different level. I grab my lucky mallet and smash them open all at once. Golden lights, purple lights, and even a bright orange-red glow I've never seen before, dazzling and shining like the morning sun, lighting up the entire shop. I look down at my trove of loot laid out on the table, and my eyes go wide. 3 soul bones, 2 enhancers, 5 experience capsules, an upgrade scroll, and 1 more item, glowing with an orange-red light. It's a crystal clear pill, its surface swirling with rainbow patterns, as if there's a tiny universe's soul inside. Essence Restoration Pill, Legend Grade, used to awaken a hidden martial soul, or trigger evolution of your current martial soul. Not tradable. I stare at this line for a full 10 seconds. Then I throw my head back and laugh, shouting to the heavens. Even though you rigged the system, I'm accepting this compensation. 3 days later, Martial Soul City exploded with excitement. My lucky jar shop became the hottest spot in the entire city. Every morning, before I'm even open, the street is already packed with a line that stretches forever. Some people travel all the way from the Heavendo Empire. Others rush here from the Starluo Empire. Even soul masters from Sea God Island show up after hearing the news. And I open my shop on time every day. Close on time. Rain or shine, I only sell 100 jars. Scarcity marketing tricks like these, I play better than anyone. The more jars I sell, the more 10x drop rate jars I get. In just 3 days, My soul power soared from 0 to level 42. I fused all 3 spirit bones into the amplifier. Upgraded all my spirit rings to 5. I didn't waste a single experience capsule, using every one at the critical moment. As for the divine soul restoration pill, I took it late at night on the second day. The moment I swallowed it, my second martial soul, long dormant within me, was completely awakened. It was a martial soul even the system marked as unknown, emitting a deep black gold glow. It seemed to make space itself tremble. I knew I was one step closer to my goal. On the morning of the 4th day, an uninvited guest arrived. He didn't wait in line, and no one dared to make him. When that figure in a brilliant golden gown appeared at my shop's entrance, the whole street fell silent. It was the Pope of Spirit Hall herself, Bibi Dong. He pushed open the door and entered. The gemstones on his 9-curved purple gold crown sparkled with broken rays of light. His scepter tapped the ground lightly, making a crisp sound. His deep, penetrating eyes swept past the jars on the shelves, finally landing on me. "So, you're the owner of this shop? Welcome." I smiled. Neither arrogant nor humble. 100,000 gold soul coins for 1 jar. Fair and honest. Bibi Dong looked at me for a long time. So long I thought he might make a move. But in the end, he simply smiled slightly. It was a meaningful, thought-provoking smile. "I'll take 10. He casually handed over 1 million gold soul coins, without even blinking, as expected of the Pope of Spirit Hall. That's the kind of aura a true VIP should have.
10 jars.
10 strikes, 3 purple lights, 6 white lights, and 1 golden light. It was in my store. For the first time ever, that golden light burst from an ordinary jar. In Bibi Dong's hand appeared a scroll radiating a divine aura. The text on it was ancient and solemn. I glanced at the system notification, and my heart skipped a beat. Fragment of the deification scroll. An epic level item recording part of the guidance to becoming a god. It provides clues needed for practitioners to face the divine trial. After Bibi Dong finished reading the scroll, he was silent for a long time. When he finally looked up again, his gaze toward me had completely changed. "Who are you, really?" "Just a businessman doing business," I repeated with a smile. Then I pointed at the couplet by the door. "Create the future with your hands. Find joy with money. Come again next time." Bibi Dong didn't ask anymore. He took all his items, turned around and left. When he got to the door, he suddenly stopped. "I'll be back."
Anytime.
After seeing Bibi Dong off, I closed the door, sat alone behind the counter. The night sky over Spirit City was full of stars outside the window. I raised my hand, watching the black gold light swirl in my palm. A surge of unprecedented ambition flooded my heart. Crossing over to the world of Daluo Dalu, all I wanted was to defeat Tang San, that cheat. But now things seem to be heading in an even grander direction. The Pope of Spirit Hall has become my regular. The golden generation keeps coming back. All the soul masters in Spirit City are going crazy for my jars. And all of this is just getting started.